and welcome to the Let's Get Real with Jill video podcast. I'm excited to be on location here in Grass Valley with a special guest from our community, Thom Tanner, the CEO and founder of Presenter Tech. Many of you might not know that we have an outstanding and growing U.S.-made company working with local vendors in our counties, Nevada, Placer, and El Dorado County. And who was their first official client? Well, it was the White House. So yeah, they started right at the top. So let's get right into this. Welcome, Thom, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Jill. Appreciate it.
And so we're going to just start right here. And I'm so excited that I'm here in your facility. And let's kind of step back because you made a prototype. You put it out there at a convention, and then bam, you are the number one provider for the White House for this product. Correct?
Well, it didn't happen that fast.
Okay.
Basically, we created a prototype, and that prototype was used at Lucasfilm.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay, that's how it started.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you even have a relationship with Lucasfilm?
Well, my brother's in the film industry, so he asked me, hey, do you think there's any way you could build something that would adjust to all the heights? And so I worked on something in the garage with my friend Steve, and so we came up with something, was a prototype. We showed it at Lucasfilm, and the director of special effects, who was 6'5", he liked it. And so probably 3 weeks later, it was taken to a convention. It happened to be I think it was the California Democratic Convention.
Okay.
A couple people from the White House saw it behind stage, and my brother was there, and they asked him, who makes this thing? And so he rips off a little piece of paper and gives them my cell phone. I get this call from a 202 area code, and these guys said, we're from the White House. And I thought it was a joke. I was just
right. I would have, right. Yeah.
But then I waited, and they're legitimate. And they said, asked me some questions, and they said, well, how much is this thing? And I was deer in the headlights. I didn't know because I just made this thing in my garage. And so I got back to them a couple weeks later. Didn't hear from them for probably 3 weeks. And then they called me back up and they said, how soon can we get 100 of these things?
Oh my gosh.
So that was the start of the business, essentially.
Okay. So what it sounds like is your brother then called you up to help with a product for somebody at Lucasfilm because the guy was so tall. And so that you created a prototype so a teleprompter could work for him?
That's right. And but there was also a lady she was just barely 5 feet. So he had a difference of about 1.5 feet. So what our design did is to move up and down, and so to adjust all the speakers out there.
Right. So did you have any idea when you were creating this prototype for your brother at Lucasfilm that this would lead to what you have here today?
No. I didn't think this was going to happen at all.
Okay.
No clue.
So fast forward, your prototype is used at a convention. You get a call from the White House. And then when did you decide to leave your comfy, cozy job where you were as an engineer for 20 years, right?
The moment they said, hey, can you get us 100 of these? And then I thought, okay, I'm going to turn in my resignation. I am leaving, because at that point then it was a great lucrative deal.
Right. Okay. So you quit your job. You have some faith in this. You're like, oh my gosh, how do I do this? But of course, you can't do something like this alone. You got to get some other brains beside you. And that's where Steve came in.
That's right. So Steve became my business partner. We started this company. It was originally called Telestepper because that's our flagship product. And basically, it relates to teleprompting, stepping up and down. So we thought it was creative. So since then, we've developed another 5 products, and we realized we couldn't call the company after the original product. And so we came up with the name Presenter Tech, which kind of relates to audio, teleprompting, visual. So we thought one word, we wanted to have it describe everything. And that's what we are now.
Okay. And so you've been in business, 7 years now?
7 years.
And you have 5 big-time products then?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who are your clients? Who are you marketing to? Who are your clients?
Well, as far as teleprompting goes, this could be, for example, a president of a different country. We sold a system recently to the president of Kazakhstan, of all places, but they are used by a lot of event producers. So, for example, college universities use these quite a bit because you have the president, the provost, the special guest speaker, student speaker. Okay.
It's okay. Hey, this is live. We're good to go. You're getting phone calls. Yeah. These are orders. We have a good show.
That's the president of Spain.
That's the president.
Exactly.
He's like, don't talk about the product that I'm buying from you.
I have to do some interpretation on this one. Yeah. But anyway, so our clients are all over the map. We've got House of Worship. We've got corporate clients. For example, the president of Apple, Tim Cook, he bought one of these for his personal use.
Wow. Okay.
And we'll look at that later.
Okay.
There is Mark Zuckerberg uses this quite a bit, almost on a weekly basis. As you know, the president, the vice president of the United States, they use these quite a bit. They're installed in the Rose Garden, on Air Force One, overseas, wherever they speak.
Oh, right, because Air Force One, if he's doing a speech or something.
That's right.
Then, wow, that is... So, how do they know, is like right now, is it all just word of mouth? Like, how do people know about your products? I mean, you have a great website. Is that kind of what you're focused on, is the website? Like, how do you get these people?
It's not just the website, but we also go to trade shows, and we have distributors too.
Okay.
So, for example, if you look at this prompting hood over here, the name on it, that's one of our distributors, essentially. So they're all over the world, in Europe and Spain, South America, and things like that. So we rely upon distributors, but also direct sales and through the trade shows too.
Okay. And then, do you have patents on these?
We do.
Okay, I was going to say, okay. Otherwise, we have to keep this a secret. And it's so funny because really, I have my cue cards, but I don't even need these anymore.
That's right, because our script is right here.
Would you even know I'm using a teleprompter?
We'll show this later. Yeah.
So tell me then about your goals for, like, what are the next steps for Presenter Tech?
That's a good question. What we want to do is have all of our products used by the G7 world leaders. So we're working our way up that list. And so that's a lofty goal, but we want to have it all around the world. So right now we're in New Zealand, Australia, South America, all over Europe, places like that, Canada. And so we want to be as prolific as possible, sort of like the Kleenex name for facial tissues. When someone says, I want one of these, they'll say, I want a telestepper.
Right.
That's basically the idea behind that.
Okay. So what is the difference between like a telestepper, but the name is now Presenter Tech? Like, what is that about? Just because you changed the company name.
We had to, because with our flagship product being the telestepper, and all these other products being developed, we couldn't call these other products telestepper, obviously. So during COVID, we had basically zero sales. You know, it was essentially anyone who was in the live events industry, say you're a performer or musician, we're in the same category. So there was zero sales. And so for 2020, 2021, it just was terrible for us. But what that did is it forced us to create new products. So we went back to the drawing board, Steve and I, and we developed another 4 products. Now we're on our 5th product. And so it was good because we wanted to be more diverse with our robotics. And that's kind of what another of our goals is, only do audiovisual robotics.
So what does that mean?
That means essentially, in the past, what you've had is if you have a speaker and you needed to adjust something for that speaker, you always had to have someone run up on stage. And if you did, then what happened is it calls attention to that person's height. So let's just say a person's really short. And then someone runs up and, moves it up.
We see that all the time.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So now if
Yeah.
someone says, oh, look, that person's really short.
Right.
So we do this remotely now.
Okay.
And so everything is done so that it can be automated.
Okay.
And it can be automated anywhere in the world. So if someone could be in a studio in England and control this right here in Grass Valley.
Okay. So I get it. So basically, okay, that makes so much more sense. And you guys can do a remote from like 1,000 feet away from like the stage, right?
Usually that's how it's done with the telestepper. Well, all of our other products are IP based, and so they're just going over the internet. And so as long as you have an address, internet address like you have for your own IP address, then you can operate this anywhere.
Oh, you mean so somebody can just be at their laptop and do the remote of the...
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
Whoa. Okay. So for everybody out there, first of all, I just really want you guys to understand that we are here in Grass Valley, and and I don't think people realize like some of the companies that are out there that are making such a difference in our community. And that, so here you've created a product, which is great for, like what you said, colleges, or like even when I go to a conference for real estate, there's so many different people. I should get you to some of these people. There's so many different people on stage, but they do run up because they can see their speech, and it has, I mean, like I am using your teleprompter. There's a script there, and nobody knows that I'm reading it.
That's
because
right.
there's a mirror. There's not it's a clear glass on both sides. And that really, then you can elevate the height when people are coming up. Now, what about concerts and stuff? Is that needed, or when people are singing, or do you have any of those?
We do, Jill. So essentially we have robotic microphones too. There is a microphone, I'll show you after this, that mounts to a lectern, and it adjusts to the height of the person on the lectern. So not everyone knows that when you come up to the lectern that you can bend the microphone up or down. So we developed a system so that someone, again, from 1,000 feet away could actually adjust the height. So now the audio in the room is much better. And we also have a system that has an iPad on it as well as a microphone. So for example, if it's a church and you have, say, the pastor or somebody who's playing guitar, that can be adjusted up and down for the height of that speaker, and then retract all the way when they're done.
Okay. So really you have multiple products that almost could really be used in any industry. But how do you get, I mean, you have your like marketing and stuff, like how do you keep like selling your products? I know you have your distributors, but do you have like a local team, a local sales team? Is that something you want to do in the future?
Well, the majority of our products are worldwide. There's, I would say, probably 75% of our sales is through distributors, and so they take care of a lot of that. But we also want to be proactive enough and do direct sales too. So we're always trying to market ourselves through, as I said, through trade shows or through the website and word of mouth and things like that. Repeat business through that avenue has been great for us.
Okay, so repeat business, does that mean that they're buying additional products? Like
that's right.
Okay. And then what about the, like, how do you service the product? Do you guys do it if something breaks down, or?
Well, that is.
Or they get old, or what?
That is a very good question. In fact, we have, with the White House, as you know, we sold 100 systems to them.
Right.
2 years, that was 7 years ago. And last year we had them call us and say, hey, look, we've got some systems that are broken. We've got 3 systems. So we brought those back in. We found out they were all rusted because they were using them out in the rain. So we put new motors on them.
Okay.
Because when the president speaks and he's out there in an event, no matter where it may be, they might use these outside.
Sure.
And they get beat up pretty bad. So yes, they will come back here, we'll service them, and then we'll send them back out. So
Okay.
out of the 100, we had 3 rusty
That's not bad. That's,
units.
Yeah. So then have they ordered more at all?
No, darn it all. If you,
I know.
you guys are watching,
Right.
order more.
And I will let my tax dollars go towards something like that.
Yeah, I like that. That sounds good. Yeah.
So, and then didn't you just get a big contract with the Pentagon?
We are now the supplier to the Pentagon too.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Let's not keep that quiet.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The United Nations in New York also has our system too. So, for example, if you see speakers at the United Nations, if you look at that, you'll see world leaders up at that stage, and they have some systems of ours. And it's used for a lot of those folks because they come up and they may not remember their notes, but they want to be a great speaker. And so everything's on prompted screens, just like what the White House is using.
Okay. So what is the biggest question you get asked regarding teleprompters?
It's always, hey, can you change the script for that speaker? That's the first question.
Or is that the employee behind the scenes? That's hilarious.
Yeah,
That's funny. Yeah.
I know it is, and I always smile.
There's some bloopers of stuff like that. I don't know if you've ever gone online.
Yes,
where employees might do something accidentally or like it's funny, but no, that has nothing to do with what you're doing here. Okay, so
that's true.
What was I going to ask you? Oh, the conferences. Do you go?
Notes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Do you go to the trade shows yourself, you and Steve, or does somebody else go to those? Who does those when you're at trade shows?
We kind of rotate. I was there at the last show, but we have other employees that go to the show, and so they may be all over the place. We typically go to a show called the National Association of Broadcasters. We're going to a show in August called the Texas Association of Broadcasters. And there's a few others too. And there's one overseas that's a big one called the IBC show. And there's another one called Infocom. So those are the big trade industry shows that you might see. And it's really interesting because it's everyone from the film industry. So you'll see things like helicopters with cameras, or race cars with cameras, and
oh, it's amazing then.
Anything from Hollywood is there too.
Okay,
it's really neat.
And obviously it's in Texas, the one in August that's coming up.
That's one is in Texas. The one we just went to was in Las Vegas.
Okay. Oh wow. Are you going to do Texas, or are you guys, because you just came back? Are you?
I'll probably go to Texas. Yeah.
Okay. What part of Texas?
It's in Austin. Yeah.
Oh, I'll be in Austin actually in August too.
Okay, it's on the 8th. It is.
Oh, we're the week later.
Okay. It's actually inside of this building that has the world's largest indoor water park. So I thought, okay, I'm going.
Oh my gosh! Seriously, I've never even heard of that.
Okay. It's a huge convention center there that they built.
So, okay, well then that brings me to, because you have a beautiful daughter who is now 16 years young. Because when I met you, that was pretty much when you were starting the company. I think you were still employed with the other company.
I think so too.
You.
Yeah.
And so, are you bringing Zoe to the water park with you in August?
Well, I'll have to ask her that
right?
question. She may say yes.
Yes.
I'm guessing she might. Yeah.
Okay, before we wrap some things up, is there anything that you'd like to touch on that we haven't touched on before we conclude about your product, about what you guys are doing, and kind of what the future looks like?
Well, I definitely feel very, very strongly about the future being automated. I mean, a lot of these studios are going for that because they want to have the flexibility of controlling things in these studios. So, for example, one of the things that we have seen at this last trade show is that people come up to us and say, hey, we want to make this studio for, say, for example, QTV type of sales. And so we want it to be automated and have the producer and the director somewhere else and then just run through all these products. That's another example of how the automation in the film industry can be used, because you essentially set this studio up and there's no one there but the talent.
So you're listening to you're getting a lot of what their needs are.
That's right.
Coming back,
Yeah.
you and Steve put your brains together and come up with something that's going to work for that in the industry. And I did watch one of your videos, and what I liked how you described it is, and you actually show it on your website, because you make it look like child's play, super simple, almost like a plug and play kind of thing, like putting everything together. It looked very simple. Is it simple then for a user?
It's very, very simple. It's very intuitive, and we wanted to make it that way because if you think about it, if you're behind stage and you're trying to control these devices, and it's a high-profile event, say you have the president or something like that, the last thing you need is a lot of complexity. So we made it just very, very simple and easy to use and super reliable.
So when, let's say you go and send something like that, like you had 100 sent, do they get like a training, even though it's simple to put together, but like the first training on how to use the product or anything, or is it even necessary?
It's not really necessary because you see, it is so easy to set up and it's intuitive when you unpack it from the box.
Okay.
It is, you can look at it, you can say, okay, this part goes with this part, and you plug this in and put in the power, and essentially that's it.
Okay, because
we do have instructions.
Simple. Okay, yeah, and YouTube videos. So,
there you go.
Okay, so for somebody like me who does a lot of video, I mean, I'm in the real estate industry, but you don't even have to be in the real estate. You see it all the time. Facebook, Instagram, people are doing reels. Is there a product out there for like somebody like me?
Definitely. For example, there's two types of teleprompting. There is the stage and speech, what they call a presidential style, which is what you see over there, typically behind a lectern. And then there is the through the camera, or TTL, through the lens style, where you actually have a camera shooting through the glass with the words on the glass. And so the camera doesn't see the words, but you're seeing the words as you're looking right now. Okay. And so now it makes it look like you're looking directly into the camera, like you're being interviewed. So, for example, someone who is in the real estate industry, or even a small business or something like that, if they have one of these, they can put their iPhone or something like that up there, record their own videos, and it looks amazing. Add their own music. And
so would that be what we're using today right now? Would that be what I would be using?
A downsized version of
there
that.
Is a downsized version
This
of
is
it. Okay.
a much more professional version.
Okay, because it looks very professional and expensive. For me.
Well, there are different, yeah, don't worry. There are easier to afford versions of this. This is a version we're looking at right now, Jill, that has a prompting screen and a clock so that you can see, or a counter. So, for example, you'll see, okay, I have 30 seconds left, and then we have to, for example, cut to the broadcasters in New York or something like that. There is another monitor down below this, right there, and that's called a confidence monitor, or a talent monitor. And what that does is, let's just say you're having a conversation and you're a broadcaster and you're in New York, but you're talking to some, you're interviewing some folks in Florida or something like that. They will be on that monitor, so you can actually see their faces, their expressions, but you're talking with your speaking points in the lens there. So it works out really well. So that's how you can do all this remote filming, and that's kind of the secret of how this works. Okay, that is so cool. Yeah. And we just think they're just super talented and doing this all on their own. But now we know the secret. Now we know their secret. So, and then Tom, this is your office, but don't you manufacture everything here too? We do. We have our engineering offices here. We design and develop our products, and in the back, it's all manufacturing behind those walls. Are we going to be able to look at that? Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that'll be fun. And then, how many employees do you have here? We have 5 now. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, and then full time. Full time. Okay. So you have been. So where do you think this is going to be in, let's say, 5 years? Well, in 5 years, I definitely want to grow the company. Steve and I do. That's our plan. And we have got some interest from one of our distributors. They may want to add our company to their lineup of companies.
Okay.
It's a publicly traded company. So
Ooh,
we may sell, we may keep it going. I'm not really sure at this point, but we definitely want to grow and just remain focused on broadcast and teleprompting robotics because that's our specialty and we've done, I think, fairly well at it. So we don't want to get too far outside of that, but we see that the folks out there who want to do teleprompting, the automation and the robotics is something that is just, you've got to have it now. Right. And so we're kind of at the forefront of doing this.
Imagine if Walt Disney, if this type of stuff was around when Walt Disney, I mean, imagine how that would have just taken off like that. I mean, because he had a vision, and look what he's created, and that was way back when, where now robotics is like the main thing now to have.
That's true. Yeah. And speaking of Walt Disney, one example of teleprompting, which I think everyone has experienced, is in Disney World or Disneyland, there is the, what is it?
One of the rides?
Yeah, one of the rides. It's the Haunted Mansion.
Okay.
If you've been in the little car and you see a little person sitting next to you, that's essentially teleprompting.
Oh, so I thought that was just my little ghost that was sitting with it. You mean that happens for everybody?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so I always wonder, because you're in the Haunted Mansion, you're in the thing, and you're going like this, and you're looking in the mirror, and he's sitting right next to you.
That's right.
So that's very similar then to what this does.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, it's essentially teleprompting. But the first known use of a teleprompter was in a 1832 movie or stage play called Pepper's Ghost. And so it was a projection of a ghost up on stage using a couple mirrors. Okay. And so it would bounce this image up on stage, and people would say, "How'd you do that?" So it's essentially teleprompting with an image instead of script.
In the 1800s?
It's about 1832.
Oh my, what?
It's called Pepper's Ghost.
Wow, Pepper's Ghost. Okay, we'll have to look that up. Okay, so anyway, I so appreciate this big time. And then I'm anxious to go it'll be fun kind of standing over here too and looking at stuff, but to go into the room where you guys manufacture. And so I think it's amazing that 7 years ago, like how this kind of turned your life. This changed your life because you were working for a company and you had faith and you took that leap of faith. That's amazing.
Well, we did. So Steve called me up right after I got this contract. He basically became my business partner, and we decided we didn't want to work for someone else because we had been in the industry in different companies and seen kind of the mistakes other people made, and we thought, well, we'll be smarter than that, right?
Yeah.
But,
eventually.
Yeah, eventually, exactly. Yeah, we have made some mistakes. But we learned from it.
Fail forward, yes.
That's right. Yeah. And you try to, as you're starting off in a business, you don't have a lot of cash flow, so you have to be very, very precise about this. So we have a lot of advisors. We've had some outside help with the side of the business because essentially we're a company of engineers, and Leanne and Steve and myself, that's our background. Yeah. So it's not so much a business background, but we've had some help to guide us along the way.
Sure. Yeah. And really getting with the right people to help with all that. And I just think it's amazing that, there's so many people out here that don't know that such a vibrant, growing U.S.-based company, that your vendors are within the counties right here in Grass Valley. So, so anything else before we wrap up?
The other thing I want to mention is that, which is very important to us, is that we are an American-made company. So essentially everything that we have here, our labor, our parts, even our electronics assembly, which is very rare, is all made locally. So for example, Placer County, El Dorado County, Nevada County, we have parts from all of those counties, and we put it together. What is very unusual about our product is that the electronics are made just in El Dorado Hills. Normally, electronics you see for devices like your iPhone and things like that, it's all overseas.
Right. Yeah.
So Steve has been able to work with a vendor to make our printed circuit boards in El Dorado Hills. We have a lot more control, and the quality is better too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's really important too, and for people to understand that you are an American-based company using vendors and having American products, because it can happen. We don't always have to go overseas.
That's right.
Yes.
And we want to keep it that way too, because we have, yes, oh, me too, because we're very patriotic, but we have seen people or companies where you might see a stamp and it'll say, has a picture of an American flag, and it'll say designed, like for example on your iPhone, it'll say designed in California, and I might have a little American flag, but in smaller letters it'll say made in China. So we want to say it's designed in California, made in California, everything from start to finish.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Yeah, that's a big deal. That is, because you very rarely see that. I remember my son, when he was little, we would go to the dollar store, and he would say, "Mom, can I get something?" And I said, "If you find something that does not say made in China, we're getting it." He couldn't find anything.
Yes. Yeah, it's tough.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining Let's Get Real with Jill and Tom. I so appreciate you joining today and letting us come in here, because I really just wanted to show how many people that you have a great U.S. made company. And, oh, here's the other thing. When the Paradise Fires happened, I'm cracking up because Petey left her job and the teleprompter is going way too fast.
Now she has to go back.
So this is what happens when this is perfect. This is what happens when you're using a teleprompter and the employee goes on a break, right? Exactly. All right, so we're going to go back.
Okay.
And
read the script.
Okay, so thank you for those joining us today to meet with Thom Tanner, the CEO and of Presenter Tech. But I think let's go back. This is real life, so we're doing this. Okay, right there, it's perfect, Petey. So I met Tom about 7 years ago, and I was just so impressed with you as just a great human Christian man. And it was during the Paradise Fires. That's right. And you brought people into your home, and you helped them with their needs. I think it was even during Thanksgiving. I don't even know if you knew all these people. You had them like at a big dinner. Was it a Thanksgiving dinner then?
It was. There was I think I had about 8 people there, and then I wound up having a family of 4 stay with me for about 3 weeks.
And older, weren't they older, the family? Yes. So I think we have some great people that are living in our community, and you're very humble about it. You're humble about what you're doing here in Grass Valley and employing people and manufacturing in the U.S., and you are very humble about what you give and you serve to our community. And that I was super impressed, because that was like when I first kind of had met you. So thank you so much, you guys, for joining us today to meet with Thom Tanner, the CEO of Presenter Tech. And I will see you next time on the Get Real with Jill video podcast. And you guys, I don't need those anymore because I have the teleprompter. All right, you guys. So remember, I always like to end the show with kindness. So we need kindness every day. It's up to us as individuals to spread kindness to others. And I promise you, make your goal today to do that, and just smile at somebody, whether it's behind the counter at Starbucks, in the Costco parking lot, or in traffic. Your smile can make a difference in somebody else's life. Their smile back at you can make a difference in your life. So have a great day. Be blessed. And thank you so much, Tom.
Thanks, Jill. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, you guys, we will see you next time on the Get Real with Jill video podcast. Bye-bye.